There has been another major turn in the Brandon Aiyuk saga, and if you're tired of the Aiyuk rumors, I think you're going to like today's story at the top of today's edition of Steelers Talk. Then we'll get into a very interesting quote here from a Pro Football Focus host talking about Mike Tomlin that I think is very interesting. And then we'll get into some injury updates here for both inside linebacker Cole Holcomb and Cory Trice Jr. at the end of today's show, so make sure you guys stick around for those injury updates. But first here, Tyler Jones, our host here of the Ravens Rundown, has challenged us to a like battle here this week. And, you know, I guess that Ravens Rundown didn't learn from Raiders and the Browns and all these other channels that lose to us. So they challenged us to a like battle here for today's video. They got 618 likes on their video yesterday, so that's the number to beat today. And if that's not enough to get you to click that thumbs up icon, here's what Ravens Rundown host Tyler Jones had to say about Steelers Talk. These Steelers fans think they're so cool, but who won the division last year? You frauds. We're taking you on in a like battle today, and I know for a fact Steelers Nation isn't going to show up. F Steelers Talk, F the Steelers, and F Jack Sperry. So Tyler got a little personal there with those comments, so I don't think it's enough to just beat the Ravens Rundown in this like battle today, because we all know we're going to get more than 600 likes. Today, my goal is to double them. We are going to double their like total from yesterday's video. Again, guys, they got about 619 likes or 18 likes in yesterday's video. So make sure you click that thumbs up icon right now to show Tyler Jones and the rest of Ravens Nation that Steelers Talk is where it's at, and you can't take us down. Okay, now let's get into the first story of the day here. And once again, it is Brandon Aiyuk, so I apologize to all the people that are not so happy about us talking about Aiyuk so much here over the last couple of weeks. But if you are not a fan of the Steelers picking up Brandon Aiyuk, this is probably a good story for you. Tom Pelissero from NFL Network reported yesterday that the meeting between Aiyuk and the 49ers earlier this week went well. Here's what he had to say about the meeting between Aiyuk and the Niners. Aiyuk and the 49ers brass met on Monday at Aiyuk's request. This was a good meeting from what I was told. Both sides said things that needed to be said, and they're going to keep working. It's important to note here, there's never been a trade request from Brandon Aiyuk. That hasn't happened. The 49ers stance hasn't changed either. Despite getting trade calls on Aiyuk going back to the draft, they're moving forward, and they want Aiyuk to be a part of the team in 2024. And if you guys watched Tuesday's video where I broke down all the ways that this Brandon Aiyuk situation could work out, the first three, the ones I thought were the most likely, all involved Aiyuk staying with the 49ers. So listen, because the 49ers and Brandon are so far apart in contract negotiations, Aiyuk reportedly wants $30 million per year, and then the 49ers are reportedly only willing to give him $26. I'm not sure if a deal will get done, but it seems like the 49ers really want Aiyuk on their roster, and that makes a ton of sense because they're trying to win Super Bowls right now, and trading away a second-team All-Pro receiver who was their leading receiving threat last year is going to decrease their chances of hoisting a Lombardi trophy significantly this year. So I don't see Brandon Aiyuk playing anywhere other than the San Francisco 49ers this year, and that's the way that I feel about it, guys. So I just think that that Brandon Aiyuk is going to be a San Francisco 49er next year. So make sure you guys check out our Tuesday's video. I'm going to put the link to that one in the comments and description of today's show to see kind of my thoughts on the entire Brandon Aiyuk situation to this point. But it appears Aiyuk will be a 49er next year, guys. Like I said, the Niners are trying to win right now. They have no intentions of offloading Brandon Aiyuk at this point in time, and barring a straight-up trade demand from Brandon Aiyuk and his camp, which hasn't happened as of right now, it seems like they've smoothed some things over with the 49ers front office. I don't see that happening anytime soon. So if Aiyuk is off the table, which wide receivers could the Steelers still trade for? So DK Metcalf, I think, is highly unlikely, but Russell Wilson did kind of put out, a little bit of a message earlier in the week by working out with Metcalf in LA that he might like to have Metcalf on this team moving forward. But I think probably the more likely Seahawk to get traded if Seattle decides to trade someone is Tyler Lockett. Still has a great connection with Russell Wilson. He's older, would give them some cap relief there in Seattle if they want it. John Mechie from Houston is another one that the Steelers could consider. Has been put down the totem pole because of the way Houston has gone about the wide receiver position this offseason. And he might be a trade candidate. And then Treylon Burks is somebody I'm not really interested in, guys, but he does kind of fit what the Pittsburgh Steelers want in kind of a bigger run-blocking type wide receiver who's still young and has a lot of potential. So those are the four guys I could see potentially the Steelers trading for. And then in free agency, Michael Thomas and Juju Smith-Schuster are two guys that I think the Steelers might consider in free agency. Michael Thomas, I mean, I guess we'll have to see. I feel like if the Steelers wanted Thomas, he'd be on the team right now, so maybe that one isn't what the Steelers are looking for. But then Juju Smith-Schuster, who's currently a part of the New England Patriots, if he gets cut, I do think that he's the type of guy that Mike Tomlin might consider bringing back into the fold here in the Steel City. Now let me know down there in the comments section, should the Steelers add another wide receiver this offseason? And if you think that they should add another receiver, which one would you like to see the Steelers add? Do you want to add Hakeem Butler to the mix here? Would you rather go out and get Juju Smith-Schuster? Would you rather trade for Tyler Lockett? Let me know down there in the comments section for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. So we get to this Pro Football Focus segment here, guys. And, one of their hosts, Steve Pelissero, he's one of the main guys there at Pro Football Focus. He kind of defended Mike Tomlin's resume on his podcast earlier this week. And I thought it was very interesting, and I wanted to share it with you guys. This is what Steve had to say about Coach T. The only difference in the Mike Tomlin discussion is the level of quarterback. Because when he had Ben Roethlisberger, he was somewhere between quarterback 5 and 8 of his era. That's what Mike Tomlin had. And when he had that guy, they were a very good team. The only thing that was different was Roethlisberger got old, got worse for a couple of years, and then he had Kenny Pickett. To me, it's like when you look at it in totality, it's like, oh, Mike Tomlin can't be the guy that gets you over the hump and win a championship. Like, just give him another top 8 quarterback, and he probably can. And it is kind of impressive that with Kenny Pickett and with an older Big Ben Roethlisberger, they were winning 8 or 9 games, right? So that's how you look at Mike Tomlin. So coming up here, I'm going to give my take on Steve's kind of take on Mike Tomlin here, whether he makes some good points or not. But before I reveal my take on Steve's take, before we get into that, make sure you go to chatsports.com/throwback. I'll put that link in the comments and description of today's show. If you use that link and you make a purchase for one of these really stylish and affordable Steelers throwback helmet t-shirts, Fanatics is going to send us part of the proceeds. So if you're planning on getting a new, stylish, affordable Steelers t-shirt that's perfect for summer barbecues, your son's baseball game, or something along those lines, or even Steelers training camp this year, if you go to chatsports.com/throwback, make a purchase. Some of those proceeds are going to come our way here to make more Steelers content for you guys every single day. So thank you guys so much for all of your support. Okay, now, I think that Steve absolutely nailed this take. And you guys know, if you've been watching the channel, that I'm a big fan of Mike Tomlin. And I think if you fired him and brought somebody else in, you're not going to find anyone better than Mike Tomlin in terms of the defensive mind that he brings to the table, in terms of the leadership he brings to the locker room. If you listen to any Steelers player in this locker room right now, none of them will tell you that his message has gone stale after over a decade and a half in the head coaching chair here in Pittsburgh. Okay, I think Steve described it perfectly. If you give Mike Tomlin a good quarterback, all right, a top 10 quarterback, he described it as a top 8 quarterback, like Big Ben Roethlisberger in his prime. This team is a title contender. Now, yes, Tomlin didn't capitalize on the Killer B era. That's a shame, but that team was undeniably a title contender year in and year out when they had the proper talent around Ben Roethlisberger, and then, of course, having that quarterback in place. And then even when you don't have a good quarterback, when Ben Roethlisberger got older and wasn't playing to his high standard, when Kenny Pickett came in and Mitchell Trubisky came in, and neither of them were getting the job done, this team was still competitive when most other head coaches would have completely crumbled. They would have had a 3 or 4 win season, and they would have been terrible, and they probably would have gotten fired. But not Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, with Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph this past year, and has been dealing with this the last 2 years, has gotten this team to the playoffs or just outside of the playoffs when most head coaches wouldn't have even gotten the team close to that. So consider this, guys. Mike Tomlin is a head coach that does not crumble even when he doesn't have a top quarterback. And we know how much the quarterback position and how important it is to this league, right? If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a team in this league. And the Steelers haven't had a bona fide franchise quarterback on this team since Ben Roethlisberger was in his prime, before all of his injuries, before he got older. So maybe 2017, 2018 is the last time Mike Tomlin has actually had a quarterback capable of making a legit playoff run. And yet we're sitting here and we're saying, well, Tomlin hasn't had a quarterback that's capable of making a playoff run. Why doesn't he have a playoff run since 2017, 2018, whatever the case may be? I think it was 2016 the last time he won a playoff game. But still, man, we're looking at this situation, and Mike Tomlin has been making lemonade out of lemons for the last several years, keeping this team competitive despite some pretty low quarterback level of play. And now hopefully Russell Wilson with Arthur Smith coming here, hopefully they found that solution to the quarterback's position. And if that happens, I have 100% confidence Mike Tomlin is still a head coach that can win playoff games in this league and can still lead this team to a Super Bowl championship if the right QB is in the building. Now fill in the blank. Let me know down there in the comments section. Mike Tomlin is a top blank head coach in the National Football League today. I'm going to put him in the top 5. I think when it comes to leadership, when it comes to consistently delivering a winning product, no matter what adversity comes his way, you just don't find guys like Mike Tomlin every single day. So I'm going to say top 5. Let me know your answer down there in the comments. We'll finish up today's edition of Steelers News and Rumors with some injury updates. First, coming from inside linebacker Cole Holcomb, where Mark Caboli from The Athletic reports that Cole is likely not going to be able to play Week 1 with that horrendous leg injury that he suffered against the Tennessee Titans on Thursday Night Football last year. The timetable has been super muddy throughout this offseason. There's been hope that he's going to be able to return in some capacity for training camp, but according to Caboli, Holcomb will not be ready for Week 1, and that means that rookie Peyton Wilson out of NC State is probably going to be elevated up the depth chart into a rotational role. The starters to start the season will most likely be Patrick Queen, who the team signed in free agency this offseason, and then, of course, Landon Roberts, who wore the green dot last year and had a pretty darn good season. So even with Holcomb out, I think they're in pretty good hands. Then we get to Cory Trice Jr. here, 7th-round pick out of Purdue last season. I was really excited to see him play his rookie season, and then, the first week of training camp, his ACL explodes, and he's still not back 100% from that injury, but he did tell reporters that he will be 100% ready to go for training camp, and I'm very excited to see what he does. This is what Trice had to say about his injury status. I'm just grinding and trying to get back right. Definitely more work to do. I want to come back better, so definitely way more work to do, but I'm happy I'm able to go out there and participate. Training camp, I am going to be ready. So I put Cory Trice Jr. actually on my list of losers during OTAs just because he wasn't able to do everything and he wasn't really back to his full speed, right? So I'm pulling for Trice this year. Hopefully he is back 100% and he balls out during training camp this year. But it's definitely worth noting that it's taken almost an entire year for him to come back from this injury, and he might still be a bit ginger even when we get to the Latrobe. So here's our cornerback depth chart right now, guys. After the Cam Sutton signing, I think you're pretty darn set. Dante Jackson, this team clearly believes in. They traded Deontay Johnson pretty much straight up for him. So clearly this team has high hopes for Dante this year. Joey Porter Jr. has been locked down ever since he took over the starting job last year. And then Darius Rush has looked good in OTAs to this point. He's a probably really good backup option, and hopefully Cory Trice Jr. can add himself to that list. So predict it for me down there in the comment section. Will Cory Trice Jr. start a game this season for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Simply give me a yes or a no. For me personally, if I'm playing the odds, that answer is going to be no. So I hope Cory Trice Jr. balls out, but if I'd have to guess, I would have to say he's probably not going to start a game this season. All right, guys, that'll be it for today's edition of Steelers News and Rumors. Make sure you click that subscribe button because we got more videos coming your way later this week, including another video tomorrow where we're going to be going live, Steelers Talk Live, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's our last live show because I'm going for the foreseeable future since I'm going on vacation next week. So last live show here for the next 2 weeks. So make sure you click that subscribe button. Join us tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. It's going to be so much fun. Can't wait to share with you guys. Until then, here we go, Steelers.